Hey everybody, it's my next video on how to port a chainsaw. We'll call this video after your first cuts after porting. You don't like the way it runs, what to change for better performance, okay? Now I knew I was going to have issues with this because I didn't want to really raise these upper transfers because I figured I was going to chip the cylinder because it is a tight nickel. I successfully did it. I'll explain how they did that in a little bit. No chip, and I raised these maybe 5-6 degrees. And I'll explain why I had to raise the transfers, but just think about this for a minute, okay? I showed you this in another video. Remember, the lower your transfers are, the less duration that they're going to be open. Okay, meaning the less time air and fuel has to come out through here, your transfers, okay? So the more they're open, say if you raise your transfers, the more time they're open. But you kind of want to find a fine balance. You don't want to just grind them all the way up because you might have a turd, might have all kind of spit back or stuff like that. You want to find a fine balance. Okay, so I raised these up. These are 128, 127 and a half right now. These were at 134. And the reason why I had to do that is because this thing was starving for fuel on top end. It seemed like mid throttle operation was fine. Once you get into that full throttle operation, it just didn't run right. It just didn't have the guts. And each cut, it was running leaner and leaner to the point where the muffler would smoke, which isn't good. You'll burn your saw up. This is a spark plug here. Pay attention to the electrode. Don't pay attention around here, because around here, I was really messing with that carburetor. Yeah, see how it's all dry like a gray? Get the muffler. See, it kind of looks dry. Yeah, this thing got hot. But I shut it down. Happened to me a couple times, and I knew exactly what I had to do. I says, yep, I got to raise these uppers. And the reason why is I want to let more air and fuel into the cylinder. If that makes sense. I want to let more air and fuel in here so it has, so it'll run better. Or have the proper air and fuel into the saw. Also changed this pop-up here. Made this so when the charge comes across, it can kind of bounce off and head up into the combustion chamber better. Instead of a pop-up like this, because a lot of times what will happen, your charge will hit this part of your pop-up and bounce back down into your transfers, and you'll get what's known as reversion. So I wanted to do this because I checked it. I had 180 psi, maybe lost just a touch, but I make sure I have have that problem under control. And when you raise your transfers, okay, what's some things you want to keep in mind? Okay, you see how this is? See how this is ramped? Okay, in a way you kind of want to follow that. Okay, now visualize. Now that's not ground. It's obviously done for, scavenging, so it, comes back towards your intake port here. But it's also, I ground it down, angled. Fire it up into here, kind of up in the combustion chamber like so. Okay, so I can fire that above this pop-up to get it right in here. That's one of the things you want to look at, because if you grind it straight across, it's not going to be, do it in an angle, it's much better. So it'll right up into here, your combustion chamber. There's just some things to look at when you're doing that. To get a little better air and fuel into my saw, I actually lowered this intake port just a little bit. Nothing not crazy. Obviously can't widen it anymore. You see that. Exhaust port, I'm going to leave that alone for now. It's at 103. We might have to raise it a little, but we'll see. We'll see how this runs. Yeah, some things to think about. So, like if you have spit back, say if you build a saw, I know somebody messaged me the other night and said they built a Steel 046 or Farmer Tech 046. It had spit back in the carburetor. Well, probably your intake's too long. Throw a little JB weld in there, and you know, that's what I did. Find out I got to do that a lot. I got good success with it. I haven't had any problems. I never kind of push the limits of that stuff, and if it's done right, it's not coming out. Definitely not. You see how much JB weld I got down in here. You do that ain't coming out of there. You hit that with a hammer and a screwdriver, you'll chip it, but it's not going to come out of there. But yep. Things just, if you have problems, just baby step. Do it in baby steps. Like if you want to raise your transfers, don't just raise them way up, you know. Just baby step it. Monitor it. See if you're getting better performance. You know, a few degrees here, a few degrees there. Time your cuts. See if you're getting better, you know. So, things to think about there. I'm not saying I know everything. You know, I've been doing this for about a year. I mean, I learned a lot, tons. But yeah, hopefully I get this thing good. That's why I'm making this series. I'm trying to do this stuff with you guys. So it all comes with experience on this stuff. You know, there's no book out there on 372s or 660s to say, well, you got to do this, this, this. You know, it's all about experience. Learn by doing. Okay, guys. Next time, keep feeling the heat.